Challenge day! All right guys, we've made it all the way to week 3. Today on Wild Florida, we're talking about starting small. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, the Wild Floridian. And hey, if this is your first time joining us, it's week 3 in the Growing Food is Easy Challenge. We're all about seeing how many pounds of food we can grow this year. So whether you're new or you're experienced, you're all welcome. So this week, I got a lot of questions and comments about people who don't have spaces with acres and acres to go grow a whole farm worth of food. They live in condos or they live in townhomes. So here's what they're saying. Nurse Nana commented that she lives in a condo and she has got balconies that have full sunlight, but she's got no yard. And then we also had Shirley Litton saying that she lives in a townhome. She does have a small amount of yard. It's a very small, like 1 by 1 foot. And she also wants to start growing food. So where should they start? Well, let's talk about right over here, containers. So container gardening is one of the best ways to start. And it doesn't even matter if you are like Nurse Nana or Shirley Litton, who they don't have the space. Because even if you live on acres, getting started and just clearing everything, if you have no experience, can be quite daunting and expensive. So I always recommend we start small. So the first place you can start is with containers like pots, or you can start with things that are around your house. So one of the things that I started with when I was first getting into gardening is I use things like egg crates, or the containers that raspberries come in, or empty soda bottles. I mean, all sorts of things. So you can start really cheap. And that's the great part about starting small, is that you can save a lot of money by starting small. So starting small isn't just about starting in containers. If you wanted to start straight in a yard, or like Shirley has that small bit of space, you could just start with a 1 by 1 or a 2 foot by 2 foot or a 4 foot by 4 foot space. And that's a great way to start so that you can learn a lot about your soil, about your environment. You know, one of the first things I did is figure out what zone I'm in, and then you start to learn what time of year you can plant things and they do better, right? So those full sun, love the heat crops are not going to do great in December. But on the flip side, if you're trying to push the zone and bring plants that like a temperate climate, right, you want to start those in the winter time. So learning your zone and then getting to try your own soil. You can go get soil testing, but if you're like me, you don't really want to go do that. I just throw stuff in the ground, and then you learn from doing that. And if you keep it to a small space, you can learn a lot without putting in an overwhelming amount of effort and resources and time and money. So start small, even if it's a 1 by 1 foot, or you start in a container. So what are some plants that you can start in containers? Let's say you're not prepping them to go do a yard, but you're gonna keep them in pots, or your soda bottle, or whatever you found around the house, or your apartment, or your condo, or your townhome, or your dorm. So here are some things. So starting in a container doesn't mean it has to be a small plant in the end, right? So let's talk about Nurse Nana. She's got that full sun balcony. She could even do something like a small citrus plant, like a calamondin, right? So it starts small, but you know what? You can keep those in like a 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot range, and you actually now have a tree on your balcony. And then once it's kind of grown up, you can go ahead and plant some smaller plants at its base and create like a little mini micro environment, which is kind of cool. Some other things you can do in small spaces in containers is, well, I love sweet potatoes, and we know we get a lot of pounds from sweet potatoes. Well, have you ever heard of a potato box? Actually, someone at work told me about it. You get a box, or you can even use an old garbage can, and you put potatoes in there, just like we talked about, and the sweet potatoes are easy. Of course, I'll put the card up above. And what you can do is you can grow them and keep layering up. And so you're really driving things vertical instead of horizontal across large spaces. So that's another way you can go and work with containers in a small space. You can also use pots and add some trellis so that you can go up. That's another one. So you could even do some tomato plants or pepper plants, because of course those are going to do great here in Florida. You could even get a dwarf banana tree. I mean, that's cool too. So there's a lot of options, and I'm just throwing out a couple of them. Of course, I'm going to have some more videos this year on other plants that are really easy for us to grow here in Florida, but I'm just trying to get some ideas in your head so that you just get going and get started. Now, a quick check-in on where I'm at. So remember, my goal is 250 pounds of food this year. And I already had gotten 10 pounds of oranges and like a little bit of mulberries. And you heard in my last week's video that I didn't have time before the video to go and harvest my bananas. So I did pull down my rack of bananas and I got 10 pounds and 11 ounces. So yes, another 10 pounds down. So I'm already up to about 20 pounds, okay? So that means I only got 230 pounds to go and I've got almost a whole year. And for those who are starting, don't let that get you down, because here what this shows is that stuff you start this year will start paying off really big next year. So committing to putting some things in, hey, you're gonna win in the long run. It's just a matter of time and learning and a little bit of effort. So now I'm gonna check in with you guys. Okay, we had a new subscriber, 3 Acre Paradise. This person he has a YouTube channel too, and I really recommend, I mean, it's just on topic. So what he did on his YouTube channel, he's got a series of videos on hydroponics in containers. Containers you can find around your house, like those big Rubbermaid crates. And he can show you how you can go ahead and grow lettuce, and he's showing you over time. So go ahead and check out 3 Acre Paradise if you want to see some more about that. And thank you for subscribing. But also, he's in for the challenge, so high five 3 Acre Paradise. And he's also recommending Seminole pumpkins. Have you ever heard of Seminole pumpkins before? Now, if you've been in the permaculture, watching videos and reading up on them, you probably have. But if they're new to this idea and growing food down here in Florida, you might not have. Now, I've personally not grown them, but I'm working on getting some seeds. Actually, we've got pumpkins left over from Halloween and Thanksgiving, and I was telling my husband the other day, I think one of them is a Seminole pumpkin, but I couldn't get the person who was selling them to actually verify that, so we'll see. But I was saying, let's go ahead and start cooking these, make something out of it, and then I'm gonna take the seeds and I'm gonna plant them in my yard. And I've got space, so I'm ready to go. All right, so he said, so 3 Acre Paradise, what did he recommend? He says Seminole pumpkins, and he likes to make a soup out of it. He says 1 pumpkin feeds about 4 to 6 people. So that's a really great return on investment, right? If you can get a couple seeds and then you're able to produce 5, 10, 20 pumpkins, woo, pounds, and feeding people, so reducing your costs. I think that sounds like a win-win for us. All right, well, thanks 3 Acre Paradise for that recommendation. All right, my question for you guys this week, we're starting small. So for my experienced people, what's your favorite plant to go and grow in a container? For my new people who have just gotten started, hey, what little plant is starting to sprout up? I know they might only be this big right now if you already got started, or maybe you just put the seeds in. So what did you start? Put that in the comment below so that we can keep track of how we're all doing. So whether you're in for the challenge or you're just along for the ride, go ahead and like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so you get reminded of our videos, which come out Tuesday every week. And don't forget, share with people and let them know growing food is easy. Bye.